I'm a big stat person as well. I love Excel. I've been to all 50 states. I recently completed that goal of mine, that dream of mine, in December 11th of last year. There's a picture of me over there in Fairbanks, Alaska, around 10 in the morning, right before sunrise. It was about -15, and I took my glove off really quick to take that picture and immediately put it back on, got in the car. I've been to 30 countries. I've been on 6 of the 7 continents. Currently working on getting Antarctica checked off the list. And I studied abroad in college about almost 7 months, and I did it over 3 different programs in 4 countries on 3 different continents. So like I said, my goal really isn't just to talk about travel and how amazing travel is. I really think it is amazing. I think you can learn a lot about yourself. You can learn a lot about the world and other people as you're traveling. But I think there's so much more to it. And I think travel, for me, is a tool to inspire people to pursue their dreams. So that's the first goal of mine. I also think that it's really important to live life to the fullest, whatever that means to you. And that's going to look different for everyone. Also spreading positivity. It's amazing for me to hear about Imagine Scholar. That's a really great project that Corey started. That's some of the things that you can learn from traveling and getting to share that with Rotary clubs and stuff like that. You can spread a lot of positivity in the world, and I'm sure his impact is huge because of that. And also give people opportunities. I think travel can provide a lot of opportunities to people. I think through my travels, I've gotten to provide a lot of opportunities for people, and that's really a dream of mine moving forward. Now that I've gotten to experience a lot, I want to give to others and give them the ability to pursue their passions. So these pictures here, I think some of these kind of show my goals and my achieving of my goals. First one there, that's the Rocky Balboa statue in Philadelphia. That was a lot of fun going there. I ran up the steps there at the art gallery and did the whole thing at the top. There's a video of it on YouTube if you want to watch that. The second picture here is in Guatapi, Colombia. Beautiful town up in the hills outside of Medellin. I think that picture just encapsulated such a pure moment of happiness. I think that really embodies just the joy, the pure joy that you can get from traveling. Over there, that third picture there, that's me holding up my belt buckle for completing the 100-mile ultramarathon. I just did that about a month and a half ago in North Bonneville, Washington, right on the Columbia River. It was beautiful, beautiful area. It wasn't as beautiful after 26 and a half hours, but that was a really fun experience and a huge accomplishment. And then that last picture up there is me doing yoga in the Sahara Desert as the sun is rising. I just thought that was such an epic moment and just so surreal to be there and experiencing that. And those are just some of the things that you can experience from traveling. So why I travel? I touched on this a little bit, but really to grow my knowledge, I would say travel has been probably my best teacher throughout my life. I've learned so much about the world, about life, about myself through all my travels. To appreciate what I have, I know Dirk touched on it here, but traveling to some of these places around the world, it really makes you appreciate all the things that you have in life and helps you see that in a different light. Also to share with others, so that's why I'm taking all these pictures. That's why I'm writing these books, why I'm doing YouTube videos and stuff like that. I want to share this with others and show people, what the world is actually like. I think, we see the 30-second news clip on TV and think, a lot of negative things about a place. It usually shows the bad parts. Sorry, am I not speaking into it?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, but we see a lot of negative things in just little brief moments in time of these places. But when you actually go and experience it and get to talk with the people and get immersed in their culture, you get to learn what life is really like, and I think that's really amazing. And to make the world a better place, I love getting to do something that's impactful, like this, my first study abroad program, which is this picture here. I got to teach English over my freshman year spring break of college in Chichicastenango, Guatemala. We taught these little kids. I was teaching 3rd and 4th graders, and it was just amazing to be there and get to learn from them as well. I also got my butt kicked in soccer a lot while I was there, but these kids were so happy just to see people that weren't like them and see people that weren't from there, and we brought school supplies and laptops to them, and they were just so excited to just have a pencil and a pen and be able to call it their own. So that was very impactful as well. And then really just to experience life. I mean, there's so many amazing experiences that you can have from travel, like riding a camel in the Australian outback, or watching the sunrise from the Blue Lagoon in Iceland, or going to Kennedy Space Center, or all the other crazy things out there. And sometimes you get to experience some things that you might tell your mom about after the fact. I know my mom appreciated me, but also was very upset with me for not telling her about this little adventure. This is in Queenstown, New Zealand. I think this was like April 2016. And yeah, I was studying abroad in Australia at the time, so we had a little break from school. And I was supposed to go skydiving this day, but the weather was bad, and so I couldn't go. And so I was like, well, why don't I go bungee jumping instead? And so, yeah. It's the adventure capital of the world, so I was like, I got to do something adventurous. And my not so graceful fall there. That was actually the worst part right there, when he fell again. But that was a really fun experience too. I'm glad that I did it. I will probably never do it again. But it was fun to say that I did that once and have video proof that I did do that. But it was actually funny. There, as I was climbing up those steps down there, they had the next people going, and there was this lady who just would not jump. She was terrified. She was standing there. She would not jump, and the guy kept counting down, like 3, 2, 1, go. And she wouldn't do it. And finally, he was like, "You got to go." And so he's like, "I'm going to count to 3 one more time." So 1, 2, 3. She didn't jump, and he was like, "All right, you're going," and pushed her off. Yeah, it was pretty crazy here. My adrenaline was pumping so hard right there. I had to unhook the harness myself, and I couldn't do it. It took me like 3 minutes to get the harness off because my hands were so shaky. But there's a lot of amazing experiences out there, whether it's bungee jumping or maybe something a little less crazy.
How much did that cost?
I don't know. Probably maybe like $100, if that. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't remember.
As you started to step off, did the guy say, "Wait a minute"?
No, I'm glad he didn't. I'm actually surprised. I got up there and looked down and was like, "Oh crap, what am I doing right now?" That was about I think 120 feet, 130 feet. I was like, if this happens to break, I'll probably survive because, if I break at the bottom, it's not that far of a drop. But yeah, anyways, I survived. So how this book came to be, it really stemmed out of my childhood travels. I got the opportunity to travel a lot as a kid, and through all of my opportunities, it's really made me appreciate travel and the things that I have and want to give that back to people. But as a kid, my family and I traveled a lot. We traveled a lot for sports. I remember going to Reno a couple times for basketball tournaments. We traveled all around the western U.S. We went down to see family in California. We went to Disneyland, Hawaii, all those fun things. And I loved every minute of it. I loved flying. I still love flying. I love the road trips, seeing the open road, getting to stay in the hotels and going out to eat and all those things. I loved all of it and still do. And so that really created a love for travel in me. And that continued as I started traveling internationally and getting to travel as an adult as well. And it was actually not too long after my first international experience, which was or just after I graduated from high school. So I got into college and I wanted to, create a bucket list. I thought a lot about, what do I want to do before I die? And so I wrote that list. I still have it. It's like 7 pages long. But one of those goals was to become a published author. One was to travel to every state. One's to travel to every country on this planet. And so much more travel-related goals, as well as a lot of things that aren't travel-related. But I still have that list. I still look at it every so often. And so that kind of ingrained it in my mind that, these are things that I'm going to achieve in life. Not necessarily things that I want to achieve, but that I am going to achieve. And then shortly after that, I created an outline of this book. I had the idea, it's been over 10 years now, or close to that I had this idea that I wanted to write this travel book. And that outline actually ended up being about 80% of what ended up in the book. I made a few adjustments, but I created that outline just one night after I'd done my homework in college, and I don't know, I guess I was bored. But I always had this idea that I wanted to write this, travel-related book, make it general, but also, provide a lot of specific examples as well. And for a while, I didn't do anything with that outline, but we'll see that I ended up doing something with it. But to share these pictures here, this is in Hong Kong, in front of the Olympic torch. Charleston Tea Plantation is super cool, actually, in Charleston, South Carolina. Fenway Park in Boston, got to go with Richard there in the back to that. That was a lot of fun. Got to see the Mariners win, which was surprising. Over there is walking out of the corn in the Field of Dreams in Iowa. That's a surreal place as well. Up there in the corner is the largest monastery in Southeast Asia in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. And then I was sitting on the beach watching the sunset in Nadi Bay, Fiji, for that last picture there. So finally, I started bringing this idea to life. It really stemmed actually from COVID. We saw the world get shut down. We saw life kind of ground to a halt. And when things started opening up, I had the opportunity to start traveling internationally again. Actually, during that time that everything was shut down, I traveled a lot domestically, and that's how I got a lot of the states checked off. But I went to Italy in September of 2021, right as things were opening up again. And I was really inspired from that trip. And I just realized how short life is, and that if I want to do something, I just need to go out and do it and commit to it and just do everything I can to make it happen. And so I came back from that trip, and I just started writing 500 words a day, every day. Sometimes it was slightly less, sometimes it was 2,000 words a day. But 52,000 words later, I had a book written, and yeah, it's been a wild journey. But I really think that discipline and that focus was the key to it. And same thing with running the 100 miles, just staying focused on what the goal was, not being so focused on all the things that were coming at me that were, could throw me off track. I just stuck to what was important to me. And sometimes you get lucky when you stay disciplined, stay focused. Shortly before I finished writing the book, I think I was like 45,000 words into it. I met another local author, Ellen Almendinger. She's got some amazing books if you want to check those out. That was in February of 2022. And I was just beginning to look at, like, how do I actually get a book published? And so I met with her, and she, laid it all out for me, told me how it would work, said that, don't be discouraged because it might take a long time to get a publisher to say yes to you. And so I started that process in early March of 2022. And literally the second publisher I sent it to said yes to it. And I was actually in Colombia at the time. I was in the Bogota airport when I got the email from the publisher. And they said, yeah, we'd love to have your book as part of our portfolio. So I spent the next 2 weeks in Colombia traveling around as I was trying to negotiate the contract and go through all the emails and stuff like that. It was pretty hectic. And then finally, when I got back into the U.S. In early April of last year, I accepted that contract, and then the next 9 months have been insane. And officially it was published in February of this year. Got my copy a week later. If you want to watch me cry on camera, there's a video of that on YouTube as well. But that was a pretty amazing experience as well, to see something that I worked so hard for come to light. There's some pictures of me in Italy. I did a cooking class in Tuscany. I sampled the local delicacies in Tuscany as well. Lots of wine, and then that's the Colosseum in Rome there. So I do have copies here. I sell them personally for $40. Online, they're on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, the Dorrance Publishing for $49. I also have an audiobook, which was a fun thing to do as well. I included like 30 minutes of podcasting in there as well, kind of explaining each chapter. So that's kind of fun as well, and that's available everywhere that you can get an audiobook as well. So what's next? I got a lot of things in the works. As I said, I have like 7 pages on my bucket list, and it keeps growing somehow. But for travel-related goals, I got some trips coming up. I think next week or 2 weeks from now, I'm going to Glacier, Yellowstone, the Tetons. I got a big trip this year in November. I'm spending 3 weeks trekking to Everest Base Camp, and then I'm going to come back through Dubai and Doha and Central Europe. Then hopefully some more national parks later on in the year as well. I'm also currently in the process of writing 3 more books. I'm helping my grandpa compile a book of his hunting stories. He's gotten to travel a lot for hunting, and so he asked me to help him put those stories together. That's been super rewarding to do as well. I've basically just gotten to listen to him talk about his life, which has been really cool. I have a travel kind of young adult novel that I'm working on, also talking about my journey across all the 50 states and recommendations and things I'd still like to do in each state. And then I'm really looking at more service projects. So looking at opportunities to travel abroad, to spread more positivity, to help people that aren't as fortunate. So actually something that we're working on, I met a really awesome guy through Rotary at the Big West Conference last year. His name is Augusto. He's from Brazil. He's very involved with Rotary down there, and we're actually meeting with him and some of his people at the end of this month is one of our meetings through Rotary. And we're going to talk with him about doing an exchange and kind of creating like pen pals with 3rd and 4th graders here locally and then in Brazil where he's at. And then I think we're going to try to deliver some school supplies down there to them as well, and give some of our members an opportunity to travel internationally as well. So that should be a lot of fun. And that's kind of my past president project, I guess, since I got more time on my hands now. So I do create a lot of travel content and other like inspirational content. Like I said, my goal is to inspire. So I have an Instagram, our Travel Experiences Podcast, a website. I have a weekly podcast where I talk with people that have done all sorts of travel. I've talked with people that have written books as well. I've talked with people that have hardly ever traveled. I've talked with people who get paid lots and lots of money to travel and lead others on trips. And just people that are pursuing their passions, which is a lot of fun. That's on Spotify and Amazon Music. And then, like I said, I got a lot of fun and embarrassing videos on YouTube. So, yeah, there's so much out there. Also, one thing I think is important really quick. These pictures here are from Cuba. I went to Cuba earlier this year, and getting to experience a place like that, I think it really shows that places that we hear about, that we see, are so much more than what we hear or see on the news. Getting there and actually getting to experience Havana, Cuba, there is so much I wish I could share about it. I do my best to share about my experience there, but those are some of the nicest, happiest people I've ever met. they were so welcoming, so friendly. I would go running in the early mornings, and people would wave to me and like high-five me and stuff. It was really cool. And yeah, I met so many amazing people. I got to learn so much about Cuba and the history between the U.S. and Cuba. It was such a great education. Really enjoyed the experience. And another thing is that you can meet so many amazing people along your travels. Those 5 women over there are some of my best friends now. A year ago, had never met them, had no idea who they were. They all live on the East Coast. They're all in their mid-30s. We never in real life would have ever met, but we all happened to book a trip to Morocco, and we all ended up being on the same trip and got to experience Morocco and some of the stomach things that sometimes come with travel. And we became so bonded and just, now we're supporting each other in all the different endeavors that we're all pursuing, and it's so amazing, the people that you can meet from travels, and you also get to sample some other local delicacies. Those Cuban cigars are amazing. Yeah, so thank you all for this opportunity. Again, I just really want you, whatever your passion is, whatever is going to bring you happiness and joy, and also happiness to others, I really think you should pursue it. Do whatever it takes to make it happen. Stay disciplined and focus on it, and who knows where you could go. I never expected any of this to actually happen at 27 years old, but it's happened, and now I've set my sights for more and more things, and I feel like anything's possible if I set my mind to it. So thank you guys. Yeah.
I have a question. I think others can. We got lots of time for questions. So, I never really grew up traveling, and so I'm like the world's worst travel planner. My wife and daughter would love to travel more, so it's always like daunting thinking about visiting a place you've never been before. Am I going to book the wrong place? So, how do you like with all of these different destinations? How do you handle like where you're staying? Are there different tips or tricks to that you like, or I'm just curious on how your experience in the actual places that you stay where you're traveling to.
Yeah. Well, I definitely share about that in my book, some of the things that I use. But I think just doing the research ahead of time, and as you travel more, you kind of understand what you are looking for too, which helps. I've gotten to experience all sorts of different types of travel. I've stayed in the $5 a night hostels. I've taken the train for 12 hours to get somewhere. I've flown. I've stayed in the 5-star hotels and things like that. But I think just really planning ahead. That's my biggest thing is doing the research, whether it's on Google or like Kayak is a site for deals and stuff like that. Looking at TripAdvisor or other things like that, getting and talking with people that have been to those places. I know some people will ask me, I know you've been to this place, what do you recommend? And I always do that anytime I meet anyone that's been somewhere that I'm planning to go. I always ask them, what are the best things to do, places to eat, that sort of thing, and make a list of that, and put it together and understand that it's not going to go perfect. I always build in time for things to go wrong, because they usually do on travels, whether it's a flight delay or something like that. But yeah, just really planning ahead and giving yourself lots of room to work with and understanding what you like. Yeah.
What is your most memorable experience?
Oh, that's so hard. I like so many different experiences for different reasons, and I think every place is truly different. Other than getting to teach English in Guatemala, I would say one of my other study abroad programs was a 2-week program over winter break, and we spent a week in Estonia and a week in St. Petersburg, Russia, and we got to learn about the relationship between Russia and the Baltic states, and how it's transformed since the fall of the Soviet Union and what it's like now. And I think one, being in Russia during the wintertime was memorable. It was negative 27. It was very cold, but it felt so Russian. I don't know. I was like, this is what I was supposed to see. But like getting to learn about that relationship and how it's changed and just all the different dynamics. There's so many things at play, that make those relationships up. That was really rewarding as well. Really memorable. And I think that first trip that I took internationally as well, where I got to go to like Switzerland, Italy, France, Spain. I had traveled a lot, but going there and getting to experience something completely different, I was like, wow, there is so much more out here than I imagined. So yeah, it's hard to say though. Yeah, so you can actually get to a lot of places. Some are a lot harder than others. I know, there's tourism to North Korea as well, but you got to go through like 5 different channels to make it happen as an American. But yeah, it's depends on how bad you want to go to some of those places. But you can make any of them happen. As for like the dark tourism, that's not really my thing, I guess. But there are options out there. Yeah, you gotta really look at all the rules and restrictions, and some places like now Russia is a much harder place to get to than it was 7 years ago when I was there, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I think you just gotta figure it out and figure out when's the best time to actually make that happen. No, that is another one that's towards the top of my list. I've been pursuing other countries, but I would love to go to China sometime in the near future.
This might be a little personal, but how do you afford this? You clearly don't have a full-time job other than your publishing, so yeah, how do you afford to do all this great stuff?
Yeah, that's a really good question. One that I get a lot. So some of it was because of my parents and family, just through college, and so like my graduation present was getting to go to Europe on that trip. But a lot of it has been strategic planning. I'm always looking for those flight deals, hotel deals. Like I said, I've stayed in the hostels that cost $5-10 a night. And just really roughed it, not eating out, just very minimal, like living on $10-15 a day kind of thing. I also am very cognizant when I'm here in town. I don't, I'm not doing exorbitant things here. I am always trying to save my money for the next trip. I feel like I have maybe pushed aside some opportunities like buying a house. That's something that I probably could have done had I not gone on all these trips, but I'd rather travel than buy a house, I guess. So it's just kind of doing things that are important to me and not paying for the things that aren't.
So just taking it one step further, if a person were to decide to do what you do, how would you do that financially? I mean, do you just take odd jobs here and there and you get money that way? I mean, you have to have resources, right?
Yeah. So, I've worked a lot of different jobs over the years. Some of them have given me a lot of flexibility to travel and still work. I was a financial advisor for 5 years. And so I had the opportunity to still work while I was traveling, which helped a lot. But then, yeah, just saving up and planning through the different jobs that I have, planning for when's the best time to maximize my income while I'm here, and then have the opportunity to go travel on top of that. But there's a lot to it. I think every situation is different for sure. Yeah.
Potentially a two-part question. Have you ever been to any place twice? And if not, where would you want to go again?
Yeah, I've been trying to avoid going to places multiple times just because I want to go see everything. I've been to a lot of the states multiple times. I'm trying to think internationally. I've been to the UK multiple times, I guess, but yeah, no, I've really looked at going to all sorts of different places. The one place that I would love to go back to and could see myself living in is New Zealand. I absolutely love New Zealand and would totally spend the rest of my life there for sure. It's beautiful.
I think
All
we'll
right.
have Kyle around to answer questions afterwards, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. As a token of our gratitude for coming in and being a speaker today, we have a rooted candle for you, so you don't have to buy one of those. So with that, we'd like to thank our speaker. Kyle, thank you. Lisa, for your invocation. Greeters for Jason, and I think Lisa, you helped stepped in with that too. And then Emily, for your great bingo. I don't know where you got that inspiration to do bingo, but that was very inspirational. And then Corey, thank you for visiting us today and give us an update on Imagine Scholar. You're making a huge difference in this world. It's really awesome to see. So with that, and I think that Corey is showing it. I think Kyle's showing it. And in the words of our great president, Lynn Harlington would say, you make a difference. So with that, our meeting is adjourned.